episode of Experts of Very Little. This is our first kind of side episode with the interview. We're gonna talk golf with my good friend Tarell Ramsey. He's you're up at Firekeeper Resort and Golf Course, right in Marietta, Kansas. Trail.
Yeah, Mayetta, Kansas, just outside of Topeka, Kansas.
So tell us a little bit about your golf course.
So it is a public access resort golf course, meaning majority of our players they come from outside of Topeka, outside of locally. So I'd say we get a lot of people from like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska. We don't do a lot of people locally. A lot of people come and they spend the night for a few nights and play golf. We're owned and operated by the Prairie Band Casino and Resort. So people come spend the night at the hotel, hang out at the casino, and then come over and play golf. The golf course is a Nota Begay's first designed golf course. For those of you who don't know, Nota Begay played on the PGA Tour for a little bit. He was college teammates and roommates with Tiger Woods. And then once he finished up with that, he decided he wanted to get into course design. And since this area is owned by Native Americans, he decided he'd come out here and build his first golf course. And so I think it opened, I want to say in 2011. And it's just been real successful out here. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So if you're not familiar with the area, you wouldn't have heard about it unless you know someone who's played it. It's consistently voted one of the top courses in the state of Kansas. Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun place to play. It's real difficult. We've hosted a number of top amateur events. The last 2 years, we actually hosted a local qualifying stage for the U.S. Open. We do a lot of junior events. We're going to have our first, I think we're going to have our first, no, we had our first Division I event last year. So it's been around for a little while now, but it's starting to get its name out, and yeah, we're starting to hopefully host some bigger events. So
Yeah, I've only played what we played that one day. It's pretty tough. If one thing about Kansas and what makes that front nine of that course very hard is the wind. You don't realize how windy it is in that open prairie, but
yeah, for
but
sure.
no,
It's
very
definitely
nice
really windy
course.
out here.
I mean, very. But so what have we been friends? Trail about 30 years, 25 to 30 years in that range.
Yeah,
Been a long time,
I'd
right?
say at least 20, at least 25 years we've been good friends. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Because we're both going to turn 40 this next year, getting old up there. Cool story about me and Trail is
Hey, you
we
ain't
are
got to tell
separated
everybody, all
by,
right?
yeah, but we are separated by 10 days. We are almost a birth. Uh, so,
Yep.
and then another little cool stories. When I was born, I had some issues on my skull, and then Trail had was pigeon toed, and we were in the same children's hospital at the same time. Didn't even realize it, and became friends all these years later. It's just crazy how
Yeah.
life brings you together. I mean, so let's tell us a little bit about your golf story because you have your PGA card, correct?
Yes. And just to clarify for people who don't know what that means, that doesn't mean I'm a PGA Tour player. There's a difference between the PGA Tour and the PGA of America. So the classification that I have is someone who, yes, I can play in professional events, not PGA Tour professional events, although there are certain events that I would be able to qualify if my skill allowed me to do so. But the card that you're speaking of, that allows me to run and operate golf facilities. I have certifications to teach golf. So that's the certification that I have, the PGA of America certification that I have. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm glad that you clarified that. because that was going to be one thing I was going to talk about is they hear someone with the PGA card, they think they're a PGA Tour player, which you could PGA Championship, but you would have to qualify. Which what was that Michael Block a couple years ago made a little bit of a run at it. I mean, that's what you could end up doing, and hopefully one day you're there and maybe that course with you. I mean, but I know when we went to the PGA Championship in Tulsa at Southern Hills, there's a reason why it's called Southern Hills. That was a tough walk.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there are some events that I could qualify for. My former GM, Randy Towner, he actually he's qualified for a number of PGA championships and senior PGA championships through like local tournaments that we have. So as a PGA of America member, we play in local. Every PGA has a section. So like our section here in Kansas and Missouri is the Midwest section. And so we have a series of events throughout the season that you can play in. And then there's one event that you play throughout the season that you can qualify for a national tournament. And then top 20 at that nationals, they then qualify for the PGA Championship. So that's why every year at the PGA Championship, they talk about the 20 golf professionals that are there. Those golf professionals qualified through their section and then through nationals. And I was lucky enough in, I want to say 2022 and maybe 2023, they also have an assistance golf professionals championship. And I was lucky enough to qualify for the national event there, which was just a crazy experience just because growing up not playing golf, I didn't know what to expect. And it's the closest thing to, like a tour event that you would get outside of being in a tour event. And there's players that were playing in that had at one time played on different types of tours. I met guys that had played on the Corn Ferry Tour, guys that had played in 3 to 5 PGA Tour events, all-American collegiate players. And so at first it was a little overwhelming because, like I said, I didn't grow up playing golf and I didn't play collegiate golf. So being there with players of that stature was definitely eye-opening, but it was also a cool feeling to know that, I was able to qualify and, play side by side with some of those guys. So.
Yes, as Tarell said multiple times, he did not grow up playing golf. When's probably the first time you around the golf? Like,
so what's funny is, me, so you knew I grew up playing pretty much all sports. I played football, baseball, basketball, ran track, played soccer. I did whatever I could, whatever our schools allowed us to do. But me and one of my cousins, Jared, I used to have a basketball goal the back of my house, and whenever Tiger Woods became big, we dug a little hole underneath my basketball goal, and we would go out and we found a couple of clubs and we would just chip and putt to this little hole. But the first time that I played an actual round of golf, I think was maybe my senior year in high school. You remember Sam Wilson, old youth pastor in Welch?
Yep, our old youth pastor. Yep.
Yep. So Sam, he had invited me out to go play golf once with him, and I thought, okay, well, I'm pretty good at baseball. People are throwing the ball at me, so I should be able to hit this golf ball no problem. And don't get me wrong, I could hit it, and I hit it pretty far, but I just couldn't figure out how to hit it straight. And at that time, I thought golf was probably the dumbest game ever, and it was only because I was terrible at it. And so from that point on, I never played golf again for probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And then I was in college, and I met some people who played golf in Minnesota, and they were friends of mine at the time, and they took me out and we played, and they beat me real bad. And they talked trash, and I didn't like that. I beat them at everything else we did, but I couldn't beat them at golf. So the day after that, I went out and got a range pass and just started watching YouTube videos of how to hit the ball straight. And from that moment on, I just got hooked. And then some years later, I decided, what do I want to do in life that I would enjoy? And at the time, I was managing Walmarts, and I decided, why not try getting into golf? And now I've been here working as a golf professional for, yesterday was actually my 8-year anniversary here at Firekeepers. So it's been a crazy journey. I would have never expected that this is what I would be doing as a career, 10, 15 years ago, for sure.
So I don't say this lightly. I'll go play golf, but Pro is the best golfer I've ever played with. And it's just amazing to me that he didn't take it seriously until, like he just told you in the story. Like, so Tro, do you think if you would have played younger in high school or anything, because you're still a very good golfer, do you think you could have maybe made it on a tour, maybe made it at the collegiate level?
100% the collegiate level, 100%. I think that had I started playing golf at a young age, like I did all other sports, without a doubt, I could have played at a collegiate level. And I don't mean just at any collegiate level, because most anyone can play at some level of collegiate golf. But I think that had I started at a younger age, I probably could have played pretty high level collegiate golf. But like I said, it just wasn't something that was even on my radar. I never even thought about golf until Tiger Woods burst on the scene and started winning a bunch of tournaments. And then I was like, oh, this looks kind of fun and kind of cool. As far as being a professional, since I've been in this industry now for, like I said, 8 years, it just takes so much. I mean, you don't realize how good those guys are until you've been around it, you've seen it. And people don't realize it takes more than just being good at it. I mean, you have to have, there's a good amount of luck that goes into making it at that level. You have to, you kind of have to have a little bit of luck as well as some skill. And as most people know, golf can be financially taxing as well. And, you know me, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so it wouldn't have been something that even had I wanted to play golf at a young age, I don't know that I would have even been able to afford to play golf, just because it was so expensive. It's not as bad now as it was then. It's obviously a lot bigger now, and more people are in golf now than it was when we were growing up. But yeah, as far as being a professional, I think that I would have had a chance. I think I would have had a chance if I would have started at the same age I started playing other sports. But it's just hard to say, because it takes more than just being good. I think skill wise, I would have had that. But as far as making it, you just never know. I like my chances though. I do like my chances had I started when we were younger.
I have this conversation with you were very good at football, basketball. You were back-to-back state runners-up in Oklahoma basketball. You were the floor general of those teams. Baseball, you played collegiate level at baseball. You played collegiate level at football. I think golf at it now, but I think if you'd have been able to start it earlier like you did those other sports, I think that would have been head and shoulders your best sport. So what's an average round for you? Like, because average round for me, now when I was playing 4 days a week 3 years ago, the best I ever got was an 81. So what is an average round for you, score range in between?
So I'll just tell you, my handicap is currently a plus 4.7, and that's not necessarily an average. That's kind of my capabilities. And basically what that means is my capabilities is, almost 5 under par. Now that's not what I average. I would say I average somewhere around even par. So on any given day, I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot maybe 2 under, maybe 2 over. A bad round is probably going to be, maybe 6 over. A really good round for me is going to be 6 or 7 under. I actually have had, since I've been living in Topeka, I've actually tied 3 course records. I've shot 61 twice, and I've shot 63 here at Firekeeper a couple of times. But I would say on average, I'm going to be somewhere around par. Obviously, it helps knowing the golf course. If you took me somewhere I've never played, if it's a tough course, I could shoot 8 or 10 over. You take me somewhere I've played and I know the golf course, I could shoot 6 or 7 under. So I would say probably on average, I'm going to be somewhere around even par now.
So explain the handicap, because you said yours is +5, and the most average person is probably going to be anywhere between -15 to -20. So kind of explain that for the people that don't really understand the handicap, between the difference between yours and the average person's.
So handicap, a lot of people get confused. They think handicap is your average and what you should shoot, majority of your rounds. And it's more of a capability. You're capable of, out of every, 7 to 10 rounds, you're capable of shooting. I'm capable of shooting, 5 under par. Doesn't mean I'm going to shoot 5 under par every time, but it means that I'm capable. I've played enough golf with you. If I had to guess, I'd say your handicap is probably 15 to 20. Like you said, you're probably going to shoot somewhere, on a par 72 course, you're probably going to shoot somewhere between 85 to, 92 on any given day. And the thing about handicaps is, a realistic handicap is based off of playing golf by the actual rules, not people who, hit a second shot and then count that in their score, or, pick up a 3-foot putt or whatever, because it might seem like, oh, that's going to go in, but we've seen it on TV. Even the tour players miss those putts.
Yeah.
So an authentic handicap is when you play everything by the book. And the majority of golfers, non-professionals, non-tour players, don't play by the same rules that a legitimate handicap would be. So it's a little bit skewed, people's handicaps, because most people don't play by the official rules of golf. But most people, the biggest misconception is that people think it's your average. If you go out and you shoot 76, they think that that's your handicap, but it's more of your skill capability. That's kind of what a handicap represents. So,
because in normal golf, the minus is what you need, but in the handicap, plus is the better one. And the closer to zero,
correct.
and the minus you are, the better you are. But the hot.
Yeah, so a scratch golfer is basically zero. It's a zero. Most people are, like, if someone says I'm a 4 handicap and then someone says I'm a +4 handicap, the +4 handicap more often is going to shoot under par, whereas the 4 handicap more often is going to shoot, over par, 4 or 5 strokes over par.
And I'm glad that you said that it's playing by every rule, because one thing I do love about playing with you is there's no mulligans. There's no, you play it as a lie, unless it's unplayable, which you know that. But where the old men I go play with, fist ball, which for people that don't know, that's, you get 2 drives off the first tee. First one's awful, and then I've tended, after playing with you and talking to you about it, I've tended to try to go away from using any mulligans or any makeup shots, because I don't want a false reality of what my score really is. I mean, so
yeah, and also it helps you improve whenever you. It helps you improve whenever you're trying to know what your handicap is, or what your true score is, because if you play it by the rules, if you play it the way it's meant to be played, and then you see improvements, then you know. But if you're giving yourself that false belief that you're actually better than you really are, then you don't truly know if you're getting any better or not. So
how you say that, because that's how I view in wrestling novice, because there's novice and open. Novice you'll have a bunch of kids that are just not as skilled as open kids. So if you wrestle novice, you'll get a lot of wins, but it gives you a false reality of really where you're at. And
Yeah.
I'm as a parent, I want to know where my kid's at, where I'm at. So let's talk about some of the courses you played. Like I want you to give me your top three courses you played, and then just about some of those journeys you've took to those courses and what got you to those courses.
Well, all of the best courses that I've played are because I'm in the industry. There are a number of just not even that I've played, just been to. We went to Southern Hills. I could have paid to go there, but because of the industry that I'm in, I get to go to PGA championships for free. Things like that. But I would say the nicest courses that I've played. I've played a Stream Song in Florida. I've played Belle Reve in Missouri. That's where they had the 2018 PGA Championship.
That's the course where Tiger made a comeback a little bit on the back nine, but fell up short.
Yep, that's the one.
That is the tournament. That is the tournament that made me believe that he can win a major again, and it happened the very next year.
Yep, absolutely. So I would say just because that was where a tour event was, Tiger Woods was there, got to see him for the first time in person. That's probably my favorite course that I've played. But I mean, just even here in Kansas, getting to go play Kansas City Country Clubs, Prairie Dunes, which is a historic course in Kansas. They've played plenty of Big 12 championships there, and there's so many tour players they got to play there, things like that. And that's just because I'm blessed to have the job that I have that allows me the opportunity to go play places that without this, if I was just someone who played golf but wasn't working in the industry, I wouldn't get the opportunity to play those courses. Or if I did, it would cost me, $200, $300, $400. And in that case, I'm probably not playing it. So yeah, just the journey that I've kind of found myself on, honestly, it was just complete and utter luck that I found myself in a position I'm in, has allowed me a lot of opportunity in the industry that, like I said, 10, 15 years ago, I would have never guessed it. And now it's more of, it doesn't feel like a job most days because I just enjoy it. I enjoy playing golf. I enjoy being around golf. I enjoy watching it. And this has allowed me the luxury to be able to get to do that and travel all over the country to do it. So it's been fun.
It's a very, very rewarding sport. It's very fun to watch. I mean, very good for your health. So you kind of mentioned your journey. So let's talk about your journey of what led you to the path that you're on now. Like what took you to Kansas, and then led you into golf. Like, because I know I went on a couple recruiting visits with you for baseball and football, and I know in baseball at Cali County, Kansas, they or in Arc City, Kansas, those coaches thought you could, if you took it seriously, could have made it to the majors like Junior Spivey. But that's not what led you to golf. I just know so, but that kind of leads into your sports journey that led you to where you're at now.
So there's a number of reasons I ended up in Kansas. And I guess I would say part of it was family. I had a cousin that was going to be coming here, and I wanted him to attempt to continue on his sports journey. Also, at the time, like I mentioned earlier, I was working for Walmart, and so I was managing Walmarts at the time, and so I reached out to a school in Lawrence, Kansas, because I had decided, like you mentioned, I wasn't going to go to Cali County and pursue baseball. I I didn't want to go anywhere bigger to pursue football. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to continue working and try to find somewhere I could go play whatever they would allow me to play, honestly, as well as, kind of be here as support for a cousin of mine who I thought had potential, but just needed a little bit of guidance. And so I wanted to be that person to kind of help him. And so I ended up in Lawrence, Kansas. Like you had mentioned earlier, I played a couple of years of baseball at Oklahoma Wesleyan and decided to come to Kansas. I played football in Lawrence, Kansas for a couple of seasons. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I met some people who I played golf with. And then I became friends with people that were on the golf team here in Lawrence. And they allowed me to come out and practice with them, and I got to play with them. And that's when I really kind of gained an addiction to the game, because that's what it was at the beginning. I loved it. I was addicted to it. I wanted to get better. And so I used to work at Walmart from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then I would get off of work, and I would go to the driving range for 2 or 3 hours and just hit balls and watch a video and hit balls and watch a video. It was just trial and error. And it just, like I said, it became an addiction. It became an obsession of getting better and improving. And then years down the road, I decided, I love this enough. I didn't have a family, I didn't have a wife or kids. So I thought, okay, I can afford to leave my current role and do something that I enjoy more so. And so I decided at that time to pursue my journey in golf. And shortly after, I ended up in Topeka. I reached out to some clubs and said, hey, I've never worked in the industry before. I do have some management experience. I love the game. What can I do? And there was a lady at Cypress Ridge Golf Course in Topeka in town. And obviously, being a person of color in an industry that's predominantly not that, I was somewhat of a minority coming into it. Well, she also, being a woman, was also a minority as well in the industry. So I reached out to her and said to her, hey, what can I do to do what you do? What can I do to be what you are someday? And she said, you just have to get your foot in the door. And so I have to thank Penny, because she gave me an opportunity when I had no experience, and she let me do odd jobs at the golf course. I worked in the pro shop. I worked in the cafe. I washed carts. I picked the driving range, did all those things just to kind of learn different aspects of the industry. And after about 6 months, she convinced me, hey, why don't you start applying for management roles in the industry? And that's what I did. And I had actually accepted a job in Kansas City. And that same day, I ran into who ended up becoming my GM just by luck. I was in the right place at the right time, ran into Randy Towner, who was at the time, he was the president of the Midwest section of the PGA. He, at the time, had already played in three different PGA championships. He was a really, really established player. He just had a lot of connections. And for whatever reason, we sparked up a conversation. He asked me what I did for a living. I told him I actually just an hour prior had accepted a job at a golf course in Kansas City. He said, oh, well, I run the course in Mayetta, Kansas. Have you ever thought about coming there? And I said, no. So he said, well, you should think about it. So that night I went home, I Googled him. I Googled the golf course, saw that it was one of the top ranked courses in the state, saw his credentials, and made the decision to call the other course and tell them, hey, I've changed my mind. I'm going to take a different job. And, the rest is history. I've been here now for, like I said, 8 years. I've got to experience things that I would have never got to experience without that random chance meeting. You mentioned earlier, I was big into baseball growing up, and my favorite childhood player was Ozzie Smith. And, he played shortstop. I used to play shortstop. I just loved everything about him. And so that first PGA championship that I went to in Belle Reve, Missouri, Ozzie Smith was there. And I got to meet him. I got to talk to him. I got to take photos with him. And none of that would have happened if it wasn't for for the opportunity that I was given from Randy and for the industry that I chose to make the change to.
So golf's been very good to you. It's led you down journeys that probably would have never happened if you wouldn't been play golf. You probably would have never got to meet Ozzie Smith, been at these nice courses, but it's crazy because on one of our episodes we had a couple months about how we get rid of sports stuff like this, we'll be better off. But like your story right there of the people that you've met and opportunities you got, it's shaped your life. That wouldn't have happened if there was no sports. I mean, sports, that's to me, that's the biggest thing about sports is the connections you make. I've made so many connections and got really good friends now from just being involved in the youth wrestling. I mean, it's just being out there with people in the same community as you end up making friends of a lifetime. Like, I mean, I got my 3 friends I've had forever. You and Ben are one of them, but I got other friends that I talk to daily and stuff like that I've known for 3 or 4 years, but we're really close because of the connection through sports. And so, and that's kind of led you to the little journey and little venture that you're doing now with your buddy Jerry, right? Is his name Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry Chase. Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about what you got, what you and him are doing. I mean, your guys' venture.
Okay, we'll discuss that. But before I touch on that, you just mentioned something that it actually means a lot to me. So you mentioned how sports kind of shape you, and so with that, I'll say, so since I've moved to Kansas, when I came to Kansas, I didn't know anyone except the cousin that I was coming here to go to school with. I didn't know a single person other than that, and my mom and I were actually talking last night. We were trying to figure out how long I've been living in Kansas, and it's been roughly 15 years or so now that I've been living in Kansas. And I would say pretty much every friend or acquaintance that I have in Kansas now is in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly, it's because of golf. Whether it's someone that I met on the golf course and we became really good friends, or that person introduced me to someone and then we became friends, but in some way or another, it's because of golf that I have the friend group that I have here in Kansas. I mean, Kansas is essentially my home now. I've spent as much time in Kansas pretty much as I spent living in Oklahoma. And if it wasn't for the game, I don't know that I would have the friend group that I have. I don't know that I would know the people that I have. I wouldn't have the connections that I have. And when you talk about, wanting to take sports out of school and things like that, sports are more than just sports. I mean, sports teach you literal life. I mean, there are rules in sports. There are unwritten rules in sports, just like in life. I mean, if you're someone who's willing to cheat to win a game, or to cheat to win some type of sporting event, you're probably someone who's going to do similar things in life outside of sports. And so, when you mentioned, how important sports are, it really can at least help shape how a person is just in life. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal because me and you became friends because you were playing on my cousin's baseball team through sports. Same thing, same way me and Ben became friends. And I'm going to we've been friends close to 30 years, real good friends. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, do we talk every day? No, but like, I mean, we pick up like nothing's left off. When you come down here, or if I can ever make it up there, it's like more than friendships. It's a brotherhood now. I mean,
yep.
And then the cousin you're talking about, Jerry, me and him's connected over the last couple of years because our kids play in the same football league and we talk about it and everything like that. But it's all around sports. It's just the connections and the relationships you create with it is very important, because some of these kids without it, they would never have friends. They wouldn't be able to get the opportunities. I mean, your opportunity that you've got is a perfect example. Like, I mean, just the journey you went down, and there's plenty of stories like that out there of people that got bigger. I mean,
yep, absolutely. So, but you had asked me about what me and my friend Jerry are working on. So that's a prime example. If it wasn't for me being where I'm at right now, I would have never met Jerry. And, similar to how you, and Ben and John, decided to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, things like that. That's something I had been wanting to do and talked about doing probably for 8 to 10 years. I mean, honestly, since I started watching golf YouTube, it was something that I always thought would be a lot of fun. Just never pulled the trigger on it. And then I have a friend of mine. His name is John Waldo, and he started a casino channel. He started it's called Kansas Slots. He just plays slot machines and he records it, and he grew quickly. And he was, for the last probably 3 to 5 years, he kept telling me, hey, just start recording your rounds of golf. Just start putting content out there, regardless of if it takes off. It'll just be fun. It'll be fun. It'll always be on the internet. So if you have kids someday, they'll be able to see kind of your journey, what you did, So I thought, you know what? I think I should do it. And so I reached out to my buddy Jerry, who he's a really good golfer. He's actually a +7 handicap. I mean, he played a little bit of collegiate golf. The last couple of years, he decided, I think it was 3 years ago, maybe, he decided he wanted to try and turn professional. And so he asked me kind of for my help. And so we became friends over that. And I asked him, I said, hey, would you have any interest in starting this YouTube channel with me? And he was like, for sure. And it has helped him get over, well, I should say it is helping him get over his anxiety of, just putting himself out there. Because golf is a lonely sport. You're out there and there's no team to help you out. It's just you, and you're worried about, what someone's going to say about you, what someone's going to think about you. And so by getting him to put himself out there on the YouTube channel and letting him know, hey, just so you know, buddy, when we start putting these videos out there, that's out there for the entire world to see. There's going to be more people that are going to have negative things to say than positive, because for whatever reason, that's just how the world is. And you're going to have to grow thick skin if this is something that you want to do. Not everyone's going to like the content that we put out, but for those who do, for those who learn anything, that's really what it's about at the end of the day. He has 2 young daughters. They love the fact that he's now on YouTube. And for him, that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter so much what other people think. If we can help people, great. But if not, I mean, he's going to look back in 10, 15, 20 years, and his daughters are always going to remember, hey, my dad is on the internet. My dad is on YouTube. And, it's just something that's been a lot of fun. It's actually been a lot more fun than we ever would have imagined. And at the same time, it's helped him kind of get under control his nerves, because, I mean, I've played in a handful of tournaments, and you get nervous playing in those tournaments, but playing on camera and knowing that whatever you do on this camera is going to be out for millions of people to see, that is a nervous feeling. And our channel it's called Real Life Golf, and the purpose of the channel is to show just regular golfers what real everyday golf looks like. We don't edit what we do. If anyone goes out and watches the videos, you're going to see shots that a 15-20 handicap is going to hit. Like when you watch golf on TV and a lot of the big golf YouTube channels, you don't see a lot of realistic shots. Now, I'm not saying that they're editing them out. Maybe they're so good they never hit those types of shots, but I can tell you for certain, if you go watch some of our videos, you're going to see shots where you top it, and you're going to see shots where you make shank it, or you slice it 50 yards left, or 50 yards right, or hit it 50 yards left. But that's relatable to everyday golfers, like such as yourself. I mean, someone who's a 15, 20, 25, 30 handicap, they can't relate to people who never mishit a shot. So it's like, man, I really suck. But when you see people who are good golfers but still hit shots just like the person who's brand new, it makes it a little bit more relatable. And so that was kind of the premise of what I originally wanted to do, and why I thought, Jerry would be a great person to go and partner with this. And so it's something that we're obviously new to it, but it's just been fun. And hopefully this year, 2026, we're able to put out more content and play regularly. He's going to continue to pursue his passion of playing professionally. And one of the big reasons that I had asked him to join is with the hopes of maybe the YouTube channel blows up and we're able to make enough money to help him pursue his dreams to play professionally, because most people don't realize that's a big reason why a lot of people who are really good at golf maybe have the talent to play professionally on bigger tours, maybe even the PGA Tour, but it costs a lot of money to be able to do that. And Jerry has a wife, he has 2 kids, he takes care of his grandparents. So he doesn't just have an extra $10, $15, $20,000 laying around to be able to enter tournaments. I mean, because, you have to pay entry fees to play in the events. And then if you don't place, top 5, you're probably not making money. So it's very expensive to do that. So I thought, we start this YouTube channel, maybe we grow enough to where we can start helping him out to be able to pursue this dream, because I believe he has the ability to make it at that level. It just needs a little bit of luck, a little bit of funding, and then I think he could get there. So I mentioned earlier that we host the U.S. Open local qualifier. So last year, Jerry participated in that, and he actually won that. He shot 7 under to win our local qualifier. His wife, she's from Canada, so he picked his final stage in Canada, so that way she could go and see family and he could go and get ready to prepare for his event. Well, unfortunately for him, 2 days before the first round, he was headed to the golf course for a practice round, and he got T-boned. So not only was he shaken up physically, he was also mentally shaken up. So he obviously didn't play how he had wanted to play. But just the fact that 3 years ago, he decided he wanted to play professionally, and then you fast forward to last year, he not only qualifies, he wins it. He wins the local qualifier, and we're feeling really good about his chances. And then just unfortunately, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But, we're hopeful that this channel can grow and can help give him more opportunities like that, because I think that's all he needs is just an opportunity. So, yeah, that's kind of how the channel came about, just from years of me hoping and wanting to do it, to finally pulling the trigger and then finding a partner, someone who I trusted, someone who I, got along with, someone who thought similar to me. And, we just go out and have a good time and try and pretend like there's no camera on us. And then whatever happens during those rounds, that's what happens. We will try and do some more stuff, like some more teaching stuff, some more pointers, similar to what you and I are doing now. He and I are going to start doing that just so people can kind of get a better idea of his journey, of my journey, and just kind of go from there. And hopefully it grows. Hopefully it's able to help him pursue that dream and he's able to make it.
No, that's awesome. The videos are good. Video is good, and I love the concept behind why you guys are doing it, is because, like you said, I can go watch a video from Tiger Woods all day long. Is that going to help me at all? No, because Tiger Woods is more, you and Jared better than us, but I've seen it, and you've missed shorts, you've shanked one in there, or like when the local course here in Pure Ridge, when you were trying to get his course record, and that's just small things that people, these professional golfers, because they have the caddies, they have their books, they don't make. But your guys' videos are like, oh yeah, like that's normal when we don't have the luxuries of these PGA players have. So you mentioned Jerry, he's trying to make it professional. Do you have any plans to try to make it in any of these tournaments, maybe PGA Championship or your assistant tournament again? Or do you plan on maybe trying to qualify in a local U.S. Open qualifier or anything in the future?
So real quick with the PGA Tour. So the thing about the PGA Tour, we never see those. Well, I shouldn't say we never see. We don't often see those bad shots that players like yourself and myself hit. The problem is, it's because they only show the guys that are leading for the week. They don't show the guy that's in 75th place. They don't show the guy that's in 60th place. Those guys also hit those shots. I bet you if the average golfer went and watched a PGA Tour event and they followed the guys that weren't leading the tournament, one of the biggest surprises, and this was for me as well, one of the biggest surprises is how often tour players hit bad shots just like an amateur golfer does. The difference is when they hit a bad shot, they usually don't hit a second bad shot in a row. They usually then are able to, fix that. So
I'm glad you're talking about that, because one of my favorite shots ever is Jordan Spieth when he hit a horrible shot and was on the side of that hill. I don't know if it was a Ryder Cup or a tournament. And that hill, I don't even know how he's able to walk up the side of it. Well, then his second chip shot off a horrible drive or it was perfect. Was perfection, like right there on the green. Like he didn't have shots. That's the difference between them and you. And like me, I would have took it. I probably just picked my ball up and threw it on a green set, running down for an 8 or 9. Or the ball will still be on that hill. But so do you have any plans on trying to compete in any of those bigger tournaments, or maybe?
So just for the simple fact that I don't get the luxury to, because as much as I love my job, I don't get to practice as much as I would like to practice. It takes a great deal of time. I mentioned money, but you have to be able to put hours and hours into practicing to be able to compete at certain levels. When I first got into the game, I mentioned it earlier, I would get off of work at 8 a.m. I would go to the range and probably hit balls for 2 or 3 hours. And I would do that 4 or 5 times a week because I wanted to improve. I wanted to be as good as I could be. And I had the time at the time to do that because I got off at 8 a.m. So I was able to spend my entire day at the golf course if I wanted. Now, while I love what I do, I don't have the luxury to be able to go and hit balls for 3 hours at a time unless I want to do it at, 6 or 7 o'clock at night after work. And sometimes I do that, but I've learned that the people who are playing at those levels, most of those people are putting in hours a day of practice. Now, I do have a goal this year in 2026. I do have a goal to try and get back to the assistants professionals championship in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Like I said, I was lucky enough to had played well enough at the right time back in 2022 and 2023 to qualify. The first year I went there was a disaster because, like I said, I was overwhelmed. I showed up to the practice range or the practice green the day before my practice round just to roll some putts. I had on Crocs. I had 3 golf balls and a putter, and there were people out there dressed to the nines. They had coaches, they had caddies, they had training aids. And at that moment, I knew I was out of my element for sure. And now that I've been doing this for enough years, I know that talent-wise, I can compete with most of the people. It's more of a mental thing because pretty much everyone in the industry that I've learned, they grew up playing golf. They've been around it their entire lives. And even though I've been in the industry for 8 years now, that's still fairly new compared to most. So my goal for the year is, yes, I would love to compete in that. And hopefully the thing is I get 1 day of 36 holes to play good enough golf to qualify. We do it. That's how it works. We play 2 rounds back to back, and the top 3, it might be the top 2 qualify, and then there's the third alternate. So it's just one of those things where I hope that my game is at its peak at the right time. It's kind of like tour players are always trying to peak during the majors. They want to play their best golf around the majors. And that's what I'm hoping this year, is that I can play my best golf around the time it is for me to qualify for that championship. And then next year, I'm hopeful to play in our professionals championship, which is the one where if you play well enough, you then go on to a national tournament. And then the top 20 then qualify for the PGA Championship, which is with the big boys. Now, obviously, that's a goal that I would love to be able to do that, but I'm also realistic. People don't realize that a lot of those PGA pros who qualify for those events, most of those don't work at a golf course, or if they do, their job is literally to play. There are different categories of golf professionals. There are playing professionals who their job is to go out and play with members. Their job is to go out and practice with members. So they're getting paid to play. They're getting paid to improve their game. That's not necessarily what I get paid to do. I teach people golf. I manage a golf course. I help manage the people here at the golf course. I'm paid to do those things. So any additional golf, as far as me practicing or things like that, I have to do that type of stuff on my own time. So not saying that there's not a chance for me to do that. It just looks different for the majority of the people who do qualify for those things. Like Michael Block, he's not selling merchandise. Michael Block's not necessarily managing people. He might give a lesson or two here and there. But Michael Block, I'd say if he works 5 days, 4 of those 5 days, he's probably just playing and practicing golf. So someone like that is definitely going to have a leg up on someone who's sometimes standing in the pro shop selling merchandise. Sometimes I'm behind the bar mixing up drinks for guests if our servers are busy doing other things. Sometimes I'm out working with little kids, helping them learn how to grip the club. Sometimes I'm out giving a lesson. So my day looks a little different. Our day here at the golf course, my head pro, Scott Wimpy, the year that COVID happened, he qualified for the national tournament. And had he placed top 20, he would have got to play in the PGA Championship. And he did that while also having to be in the course or at the course managing people and not getting much time to practice and play. So he played well at the right time. Unfortunately, due to COVID, he didn't get to go play in his national championship. So he didn't get the chance to know if he would have been able to make it to play in the PGA Championship. But for my future, that is something that I do have as a goal. I would love to, essentially catch lightning in a bottle and play my best golf at the right time, because I do believe that when I'm playing my best, I think that when I'm playing my best, I'm capable of playing with anyone on this level to qualify. I mean, the difference is their bad days may not be quite as bad as my bad days, but I bet I would put my money that my best days are gonna be up there with just about any other golf pro's best days. So hopefully in the next couple of years, I can find myself playing in some more national events. And as far as the U.S. Open qualifier, I would love to potentially throw my hat in there. And just, again, if you play good enough on the right day, it's definitely realistic and attainable. My ability is there. It's just whether or not I can do it at the right time.
Which I'm glad you talked about practice, how these guys get more practice time, because that is a good lesson for younger people coming up. How I like to call it, medals aren't won on Saturdays, which the meaning behind that is you wrestle on Saturdays, you play football. So medals aren't run on Saturdays, or trophies they're won during the week when you're practicing. And that, like, what I've seen with some of this younger generation and kids, and I try to instill it in my boys and stuff, is we got to practice. You got to practice. You can't just show up and think you're going to be good. And that's where you see the separation is the ones that do excel, the ones that are going to the next level, they're putting in that extra time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just something as simple as when I'm giving a lesson, I'll give a lesson to someone 1 week, and then they'll come back 3 weeks later, and I'll ask them, how's it going? Or like, I'm struggling with the same thing we worked on. And then I'll ask them, well, between now and the last time I saw you, how much did you practice? And almost always it was either never or very little. And so then I'll ask them what they do for a living, whether it's being a teacher or a mechanic or whatever. And I say, well, if you gave me a 1 hour rundown of what you do, you gave me a couple of drills, do you think that I would be as good at that job as I wanted to be, if that's the only time I ever worked on it. And almost always they say, well, no. So what you're saying is exactly true. If you want to be good at something, if you want to be great at something, you can't just put in a little time and expect to be good or great. You have to put in hours. I mean, Tiger talks about it all the time. If you want to get better at golf, you've got to hit golf balls. You just have to go out and practice and figure it out. You can't just be a weekend golfer and then get mad because you're not improving. If you don't practice, how can you expect to improve? So you're absolutely right when you talk about, games aren't won on the day of the game. Tournaments aren't won on the day of the tournament. It's won in the preparation that you put in leading up to it.
Yep. So I'm glad you mentioned Tiger there, because this is always a conversation we have. Clearly our favorite golfer to watch. That 97 Masters just came out of nowhere, which I wouldn't say came out of nowhere. It's just it wasn't expected. And everybody knew who Tiger Woods was coming up because was in it. He All-American at Stanford, U.S. Amateur, all that. So I mean, do you think, because me and you've had this conversation, do you think he just needs to focus on the senior tour and just quit worrying about competing anything on the PGA tour? Just focus on your little golf league you did and just play some senior tour events?
I think that uh, he needs to focus first on his health. I think that if he could get as close to 100% healthy as that looks like for him, we don't know obviously what healthy looks like for him because his body's been so beat up over the years. But I think that if he could just get healthy, I think that he could still compete on the PGA Tour. I don't think that he's just not a good enough golfer. I think it just all boils down to whether or not his body's going to allow him to compete. Is he going to be able to walk, all of the holes necessary? And, obviously he would have to be selective of the schedule he plays because not all golf courses are going to be good for him and his body and his age. But I do think that he still could compete. I would like to see him transition from maybe trying to play only on the PGA Tour and maybe playing a little more start playing some events on the senior tour. I mean, there are a lot of guys who they have full-time senior tour status, but they still play in some PGA Tour events. And I think that if he gets his body healthy, should do that, should probably transition into the senior tour. And maybe he can go dominate that, similar to the way he dominated the PGA Tour, similar to how Bernhard Langer, he's dominated the senior tour for the last however many years. I think that Tiger could probably do that if he would just let himself do it. I think he just, like we do, we would love to see another 2019 Masters moment where he goes out there and wins the Masters or wins. Heck, it could just be a regular tournament for me, and I would love that, And I think he's capable of it with his ability and his knowledge. I just think that it's just his body. If he could get his body right, just even to 80% of full health, I think that he could definitely compete on the PGA Tour. But with that, I think he could go and have a great second career on the senior tour. I just don't know. I don't know that his pride is going to allow him to do that anytime soon.
Because, like you said, I agree with you. I think he can still compete, and I think Tiger knows he can still compete. Like you just said, the pride. I think he's too prideful to go just to be select events and do the senior PGA Tour. Like I do, how I look at Tiger Woods, I do think he's the greatest golfer to ever step on a course. I mean, I know he didn't catch Jack at 18. I think it's the full package. Tiger, like I don't think there was any golfers dominant during his prime as anybody else. Like his majors, big separation of the next second place is like 100 something shots away from when him playing in majors. I mean, he didn't get the 18, he got the 14. Maybe he could squeak one out, but a big what if to me is what if he wouldn't have had the scandal in his life? Would he have got the 18 sooner? But I mean, golf owes a lot to Tiger Woods because he kind of he gave it a jolt of energy that may have never happened if Tiger Woods would have never came through, because it was just the Nike campaigns, everything. It just brought a different audience, and just, I mean, that's the reason why I started watching golf, is Tiger Woods. I think the same thing with you. Reason why you started watching is Tiger Woods. I mean, so do you out of his Masters wins, which we're not even going to talk about in the middle, what's the greatest shot I've ever seen in golf is the one he won in '05, I believe, out on 16, where it's just, I mean, Chris's call is like, you got to be, I mean, just, he chipped it up. Masters win, do you think is more important for his legacy? 97 or 2019?
I would say for his legacy, I would say probably 97. I would say for me personally, I think I liked 2019 better just because everyone had written him off, told him he needed to retire. He was never going to win again. You know, he was embarrassing himself. He was ruining his legacy. And so for me personally, I enjoyed 2019's better, but I think 97's was probably more important for his legacy just because of the time it was, you know, in 97, you know, that was during a time where honestly he wasn't even really that welcome there, you know. I mean, people didn't really welcome him there for no other reason than how he looked, you know. And so for him to go out and just not just win it, but just go out and just dominate, you know, he
Dominated
goes
it.
out and he just dominates it, and it's like I'm showing you I more than belong here, you know. So I think for his legacy, 97 was probably bigger for his legacy just because of all that. You know, there were tour players, you know, bashing him. And I remember there was an interview. This wasn't for the Masters, but there was an interview when he kind of burst onto the scene, and he sat down and he talked about what his goal was. And he was like, well, my goal is to win. And the guy interviewing him was like, well, second and third's
You'll
pretty
see.
good. And he was like, yeah, but I want to win, you know? And he's like, I expect to win every time I go. And the guy kind of giggled and said, oh, you'll learn. And Tiger didn't learn. We all learned. We all
PJ
learned
Tour,
that.
yeah, the PJ Tour learned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The PGA Tour learned that, no, he's here to win. And I mean, his win percentage, even with all the injuries and how he's played as of late, is still the highest in history, I believe. And if you take away, obviously we can, but if you take away the injuries, who's to say his win percentage isn't somewhere up there in 30 and 40%? I mean, because I mean, it was everyone expected him to win when he came to a tournament and at his peak. It's just how it was. And you know, today Scotty's kind of that way. But if you look at the stats and people try to compare the two, and obviously Scotty's great, but his it still doesn't compare to the
It's
dominance that Tiger had, you know?
it's not even close.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
mean, I love Scotty Scheffler. Think he's the best on the planet right now. But if he would be playing golf during the Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler would be talked about like a good golfer, but not what he is now. I mean, Phil Mickelson. If there wasn't Tiger Woods, we could be talking about Phil Mickelson having 10 plus majors. I mean, like, but I mean, there's a lot of times Tiger is kind of like the players that played in the Jordan era. They don't have NBA championships because of Jordan. There's a lot of golfers that don't have majors because of Tiger. I mean, but yeah, I
Yep.
agree with you. 97, I think it was the most important major win in his history, maybe golf history, because like you said, he wasn't welcome. Like there wasn't
No.
it wasn't he kind of shook golf up for the better. And I think
For the better.
for the Masters for the better too. So I just, the Masters are coming up. I just love the Masters. So who are yours the maybe win? I mean, I'm going to tell you mine, and there's one name that when I reached out to you about doing this video and stuff, there's one name that always came to my mind for some reason. I don't know why. Well, then he just went out and won the Players Championship this weekend. Like Cam Young was coming to the forefront of maybe watch out for him to win the Masters. Clearly Scotty is going to be the favorite. I mean, Rory's always going to be a
Yep.
big name, but I'm trying to pick three outside of those. And Cam Young was always the name that came to the forefront for me. And then I'm also think John Rahm can have a big tournament, and then Lucas Ackberg or Ludwig Ackberg. I think those are my three that, besides Rory and I've watched out for that have a good tournament and maybe win it.
So I would say besides those two guys that you mentioned, obviously you got Rory, you got Scotty. Those are always going to be the betting favorites. But I'm not sold on Rahm. Since Rahm left to go to Live, I think that it's kind of sad. I'm not against Live at all, but it's kind of sad because I think he was the number 2 player in the world when he left, and now you don't even hardly hear about him anymore, and it's kind of sad. But
No.
I wouldn't say Rahm. I would say of guys on the PGA Tour currently, I'm a big fan of Chris Gotterup. I think he's really good.
Mr. Boomer Sooner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I really like him. I'm also a big fan of Fleetwood. I think once Fleetwood kind of got over his years of being so close but never winning on the PGA Tour, last year he finally got a win. He almost had a couple. I always like Fleetwood as kind of a dark horse.
He could be like a Xander.
What was that?
Xander
He could what?
Never get over the top, and then be like Xander Schauffele.
Yep.
Could never get over the top, and then Xander won one, and then he won back to back, and has been in like the top 10 of almost all of them since.
Yep, I agree. And then I would say my third from the PGA Tour. I'm with you. I like Ludwig Oberg. I like Oberg a lot. He just hits it. He hits it really far. It's pretty effortless. But I'm gonna throw a Live guy out there, and you can't count out DeChambeau. I know a lot of people, especially when he was on the PGA Tour, a lot of people didn't really like him. They didn't like his personality. They didn't like that he was different. But I've always liked DeChambeau, and I think one of the best things for him personally is starting his YouTube channel. I think people got to see a little bit more of him and his personality versus him being almost robotic when he was on the PGA Tour. I think that people really like his personality. So I'm gonna throw DeChambeau in there as well.
I love, and I've always liked Bryson. And when Bryson is on top of his game, he is very tough to beat. And then I like your pick of Goddard. I just think I don't know if he's ready to win the Masters yet. I think he's more suited right now to win the Open Championship or maybe the U.S. Open for how big of a hitter and stuff he is. I mean, but he's very good. I mean, there's a lot of good golfers out there. I mean, the wrong thing, he started to play a little bit better at the end of the year. I wish he would come back over to the PGA Tour, kind of like Brooks Koepka did. I'm kind of hoping little hope that Brooks Koepka kind of finds his form again a little bit. But I mean, a couple ones that I've been disappointed with the last couple of years is Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. It's like there for a minute, Jordan Spieth was oh my gosh, is he going to be the one to make the run for 18 or whatever? And he just I don't think he's won anything last 5 years or so. And then
that just lets you know how
Thomas won that, but ever since.
Yeah, that just lets you know how it goes kind of back to the Tiger thing. I remember when Spieth first broke onto the scene, he was winning everything for like 3 years. And everyone kept saying, oh, he's going to be the next Tiger Woods. He's the next great since Tiger Woods. Like you mentioned, he might be the guy to win all the majors. That just lets you know how incredible not just Tiger, but Jack's run was, because really other than those two guys, there's never been anyone who's been able to maintain that kind of dominance. There's been people who have come out and been dominant for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but no one's ever been able to just maintain the dominance like a Jack Nicklaus or a Tiger Woods. And so that just kind of goes to show, like, that's just how great those guys were, because they weren't just great for a handful of years. They were great for the majority, if not the totality of their careers. And so, yeah, Spieth Spieth and Thomas, and even to a smaller extent, you got Ricky Fowler. Those guys were kind of the talk of the PGA Tour. And then, you know, oh no.
You're still there. You're just sideways. Which having a little bit of difficulties now, but yeah, Ricky Fowler, he's kind of had a little rejuvenated career the last couple of years. Been competing in some tournaments and stuff like that. But we'll see if we get Trail back on here. But it's just this. I got Trail on here because his story of golf is just, to me, it's amazing how he went from never playing it, never growing up playing it. I mean, we don't come from a very golf friendly area. We do got Shangri-La in our area. I got a home course here in Miami, but other than that, I mean, it's not no big name courses. No, and then like Trail said, it was a money game back then. I mean, but I thank everybody for coming on. I mean, Tro, I think I'm going to try to have on once a month. He's going to be our golf guy. We're going to talk about golf. We got the Masters coming up, and then we'll have the PGA Championship in May. The Open Championship the U.S. Open is in June. That always falls on Father's Day, and then we'll have the Open Championship in July. But it's just a different aspect that we're going to go and open up avenues of, instead of just talking straight NFL. I'm probably going to be on again tomorrow with Scotty Madison. We're going to talk about the upcoming wrestling championship coming up, and then that's coming up this weekend. We're both big wrestling fans. I love college wrestling. I love any type of wrestling. So we're going to kind of talk about that, maybe break down each bracket and stuff like that. I know Ben and John are probably going to try to get on and talk about March Madness a little bit, which I was going to talk about Trail a little bit on that. Trail's a big Duke fan, so I was going to see if he thought that they were going to run it all the way through. But I think me, Ben, and John are going to pick each game. I wanted to ask Trail about this guy because Trail's a big Tom Brady fan, and I'm a big Chiefs fan, big Mahomes fan. I used to be a big Brady fan. I still think Brady's great, but I wanted to kind of get Trail's opinion on this guy. But thank you forever, Tarell. Go follow his YouTube channel. It's called Real Life Golf. He's got some cool videos on there with him and his buddy Jerry. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Have a good day.